Welcome to another Kings of War 3rd Edition Battle Report, Goblins versus Northern Alliance. Scenario, push. In the Troll War saga, the raid by the Goblin forces on the Northern Alliance supply train was considered the most one-sided battle of the war. Right, everybody, over the last few months, my friend Craig and I have been playing a little mini campaign between my Goblins and his Northern Alliance. Over the last few games, I've pretty much kept my list exactly the same. I just think it's a balanced force. It's not overtly mean or anything, and it's been giving us some really, really good games. So the start of my force is 2 hordes of Sharpstick, one's with a measured force, a horde of rabble, a like-it gang with a mop-up, a fleabag rider regiment with a mop-up, a troll horde, a rabble regiment, a fleabag rider sniff regiment, and a wing it with the spotter. The rest of the army was the Goblin King on a chariot with a mace of crushing, a Goblin blaster, first time I've ever used one, two big rocks throwers, a mop-up launcher, a war trombone, a flaget with a lute, a wizard with Bane Chant and Inspiring Talisman, and I'd given up my last wizard to try bang it this time, just to see what it was like. And I think I have tried it once before, and it did a really good job. Alright, so I kind of set up with 2 strong flanks, the giant being the strongest thing over on that flank, and just to slow him down and annoy him. On the right flank I had significant speed with the both units of Goblin, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm going to call them Goblins, and the Goblin King on the chariot, the wing it, the trolls were over there as well. So I was really going to try to push from that flank toward the center of the table. In the middle was just basically a holding action. This is something I've done in a few games now. It's just putting most of my shooting like right in the middle, and the whole purpose for that is just to shoot one horde up so that I can take it out. I'm not trying to kill everything in the army. I'm just trying to get one of those combat hordes weakened up, or one of his combat regiments weakened up with shooting, so that my lowly goblins have a slight chance to get them in a fight. So that's kind of my goblin strategy. It's not the goblin gun line like some guys have. It's just I want to weaken up one unit significantly and go from there. So how I deployed was the giant on the far left, my rabble regiment behind the house, which was dumb. Should have just put it in front of one of the other hordes. 2 hordes of stickers. The Lycats were in the woods protecting my war trombone and my hand grenade guy. I'll think of his name in a minute. Next to them were all 3 of my artillery pieces, the Bang It, the rabble horde with the BSB behind it, then the trolls, the sniffs, the fleabag riders, the goblin chariot, and the wing it. One of the things that Craig and I do when we're playing is we pretty much stick with what we own as far as models when we're playing online. So it's kind of an extension of our tabletop playing. So this is a totally new army. I've never seen it before, and we'll see if I can go through it. On the far left you had a unit of snow foxes with the tundra wolves behind them, an archer regiment sticking there in the, an archer troop sitting there in the field. 1 unit of clansmen, I think they had the brew of sharpness. Behind them were some elementals. He had 3 characters. I'm thinking one's a Thane, one's I don't know what they were actually. Then a unit of housecarls, and then another unit of clansmen, followed by yet another unit of elementals, a unit of tundra wolves. The archers were in the woods, and then on the far right were some snow foxes. Back behind them were the 2 bolt throwers that plagued me the entire game. I know it just seems weird that somebody with that little shooting could kill you, but he can roll dice, dudes. He can roll dice. That's all I got to say. Okay, I got the first turn, and of course went first. And so on the left flank, I just pushed the giant ahead. Then I tried to snake the stupid rabble around the house. Like I said, I totally blew their deployment. Not that they were really going to do anything anyway. Everything else just kind of made a general advance in the middle. On the right hand side, I pushed up a little bit more and shot the snow foxes out of existence between the Sniff Regiment and the Goblin King on the chariot. In the middle, despite all the shooting, I did 3 wounds to the clansmen on the right hand side, and that was the end of my first turn. Alright, on the left side, Craig moved his snow foxes up to block my giant, chaff him out. In the meantime, he did 6 wounds to my giant between the archers and the left. I guess both roll a shot at him. Maybe he was out of arch on the right. Arc on the right one, but that didn't really matter. He moved up on the right side and shot my Goblin Wolf Rider Sniffs. Did 1 wound to them, which they survived. The Tundra Wolves kind of moved to threaten my flank there, but I had so much speed, it really is almost irrelevant at that point that, I mean, they'd be a threat to slow units, but these guys are like blistering fast. So they weren't much of a threat. And just to note, you see the little skulls on my guys? Those are my 2 objectives for push, and Craig's, the red dots are his loot counters moving forward. So he got a few licks in. I got a few licks on the first turn. Good start so far. So this was my turn 2. The giant went ahead and killed the snow foxes and advanced forward toward the Tundra Wolves. On the right hand side, my shooting got the rightmost clansman horde up to 9. On the very extreme right, my Sniffs went ahead and charged his archer regiment in the woods and wavered them, which was to keep the, just from picking wounds off of some of my more lightly armored units. So good turn. I mean, I really liked the damage I caused on the right clansman regiment. I mean, it wasn't 6 wounds. That wasn't horrible. And in the very middle, you can see my war trombone and the bang it kind of just standing there 12 inches away from everything. He was so busy with the giant, I really didn't have to worry about them getting shot. So I was good to go there. Okay, we're going to skip ahead to my turn 3 because I don't really remember what happened in his turn 2. I do know his ice elementals on the right side turned right and started facing toward the flank of my Sniffs, and I do recall that the Sniffs they wavered that unit of archers again, but did not kill them. So their days on the earth are very numbered. So on to my turn. The giant survived yet another round of shooting and went ahead and flank charged the clansman on the left. He had charged his Tundra Wolves into my big unit of sharp sticks and did a couple wounds. I didn't even do anything in return. Goblins fight, they're so horrible. Something wavered my war trombone. I think he had the diadem on the right side unit of clansmen, and that's what wavered him. On the right, I just continued to move forward. So I had an opportunity for a sneak attack, and so what I did was I charged my Goblin King on a chariot and the stupid exploding wagon thing into his clansman on the right, and I was so happy. I got rolled 2 hits with the exploding thing, and then rolled snake eyes for the number of wounds. Yes, indeed, it was horrible because I was really Craig had used the exploding item on me several times after I killed his unit and just did carnage to me, and I thought, aha, here's my chance for revenge, and I did nothing. So anyway, did do some damage. I think I wavered that unit. We'll see here in just a second. Everything else just kept pushing forward, trying to get to the objectives across the tabletops, or the counters across the tabletop to win the game. And then I was trying to kind of blunt there in the middle so that he couldn't get across the midline. Alright, I kept a slide in there because it's the end of turn 3. You can see that the rightmost Klansman unit was wavered from the attack. The unit on the left was fine. I did 10, I think I did 9 wounds, which was fairly low, but maybe it wasn't. I think it's probably okay. The giant, I kind of thought he was just going to countercharge the giant, but he didn't do that. He had another nefarious plan in mind. Now that I look at it, he probably had a flank charge on the other unit of sharp sticks, but I think maybe we measured it and he didn't. But it sure as hell looks like it this morning when I'm looking at it. So maybe he missed an opportunity there. I don't know. But I had him pretty much bottled up on the right side. The left side though was problematic. Okay, something happened this turn, and it didn't cause an argument. It just caused both of us to question it. His elementals shot my giant up pretty good that turn, and then surged into their flank. I guess because they're both in the magic phase, that I mean, do they make a check or not? I mean, the giant could have theoretically been gone by the time they got there. The other thing was that when he moved up, he moved through the terrain, and then just since he could pivot, he pivoted out of the field there to keep from being hindered, and then charged me in the flank. And I still think that that's a legal move, but like I said, it's just something to talk about. I mean, since the surge is really a different kind of movement phase, so to speak, so I don't see that as a continuation of a regular move. So anyway, over on the left, his Klansmen they had the bruised sharpness. They did basically 10 wounds to my horde, which was, I thought, fairly low. And the right, he did a couple more wounds to that other unit. I'd done 1 to him, which was horrible. And another one came up, which was because he was wavered, he could change facing. And when he changed facing, he was like 5 inches outside of, when I was engaged with him, 5 inches outside. I don't know, do you push him back up? I don't know what you do. We just decided to turn and not worry about it because I was in a good situation there. I was going to be able to charge him with a couple of things at once. Down on the left, the giant did succumb to the elementals. On the right, the other elementals finished off my sniff regiment and turned to face the trolls and the rebel horde. The wingit just kept zipping around, waiting to shoot stuff. Didn't really use him all that well this game. I think maybe sometimes the transition from the tabletop to this game lets you forget stuff that you don't normally forget. It's just the model on the table is so prevalent that you would hardly ever forget to move it because it's kind of something you look forward to every turn. But in this game, I just kept forgetting to do everything, I think. So this is the end of turn 4. As my friend John Gaddis says, the goblins brought the scunion that time, and we did. I killed the Klansman horde on the right. I killed the Klansman horde on the left in a fight. The housecarls, which I was worried about the whole game, got wavered on this turn, and so they were just going to be shot to pieces the next turn by all the stuff that I had sitting there. And the on the right side, I don't even think we rolled out the troll melee. I mean, I have a pretty good chance I was going to bust that troop of elementals in one turn. So at this point, we just called the game and went on to talk for a little bit just to see what we thought happened during this game and maybe figure out what to do for it not to happen again. Now, Craig has been playing with 4 hordes of Klansmen, and that has been an incredibly tough army for me to deal with. And I'm not sure of the logic of this one compared to how good that one was. So anyway, we'll talk about it in the final thoughts. Alright, in the history of our Troll Wars campaign, this was the most one-sided battle we've had. Most of the games have been right down to the wire. I mean, draws, a slight win, slight loss. I mean, every game has been so good and so much fun. And for some reason, I guess because of the army list that Craig had changed to, it just didn't work out. And I think sometimes that's something that happens. You try something, oh, I think this is a great idea, then you put it on the table and you're like, eh, and find out that your concept doesn't work. My Goblin Army, I've been playing it now. This is like the fifth or sixth game in a row. The only thing I've changed on is I did get rid of the spitters and then put in the fleaback rider sniffs because I thought they were every bit as effective, and then their speed makes them a credible threat on flank charges, and the spitters were just standing there dying every game. So if I'm going to die, I'd just as soon die on the other side of the table. The other thing I did was I had another wizard, I think with Banechan or something, and I dropped it to use the Bang It. And I've used the Bang It. I think I've used it this game, and I maybe used it another one. But it's really interesting. I mean, it slightly more than just a wizard with lightning bolt, obviously, but it's so versatile enough that he can kind of hang out with my war trombone and lug grenades at whoever it is, and then swoop in there with the wing it and lug more grenades onto the same unit. And I don't know if it's devastating, but it is annoying. And because he's an individual, it's easy for him to sneak around places and be able to keep throwing grenades every turn. So I don't know. I kind of like him. I kind of like using him I use him like an assassin, I guess, just to move around and annoy people. So, but anyway, this game was not one of our best. Very short, and we'll hopefully do a better job next time. I think our final game for the Troll Wars, before we maybe transition to some other campaign, we're going to do a 3,000 point, maybe even bigger battle, and just put all the models we have on the table. Now, I can put a lot of models on the table, so it's up to Craig to come up with the challenge of how many he wants to paint, because I have several hundred goblins, and I don't know how many artillery pieces and characters and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I'm not a big fan of gunline goblins. I just enjoy playing them like this. This is a friendly game. I mean, I'm not going taking this army to a tournament and thinking it would do anything. But for friendly games, this list has been, I think, very balanced. Like I said, most games have been a slight win, a slight or a draw, or just a slight loss by me, the ones that I've lost. So I don't really have an issue with my army. I think it's, like I said, I think it's spot on balance for friendly games. It doesn't do too much. I mean, I don't even violate the rule of two, I don't think, in this list, with anything being more than two of anything. So anyway, I enjoy playing it. I mean, if I played against a hardcore tournament list, I'd just get wiped off the table. But I don't really care. It's not my way of playing anymore. It used to be, but it's not now. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it.